Hello, so I'm going to be talking about tongue ties. Now, tongue ties are becoming more and more common, also it appears, and I think it'd be really useful for people to just know a little bit more about them, in fact. Now, back in the day, we always used to say, oh gosh, my baby just wouldn't go on the breast. This is something we hear a lot of. But if your baby is not going on the breast, then there must be a reason for it. And more now, we are actually seeing that a baby is tongue-tied. Now, these can also be hereditary as well. If either of the parents have got a tongue tie, then your baby could be as well. Now, when your baby's born, if you do see a tie, now what a tie actually is the piece of skin that is a frenulum, and it's that piece of skin that can be pulling on the bottom of the tongue. Now, virtually all of us are born with a tongue tie to some degree, but it depends if it is affecting the feeding or not. Now, 75% of babies born with a tongue tie can actually feed effectively. So if you see when your baby's born, you know, if your baby does have a tongue tie, then this doesn't mean your baby is not going to feed. What we need to assess is the first 2 or 3 days of your baby feeding, and tongue ties can actually affect in so many different ways as well. So tongue ties, they can affect weight loss, they can give a baby jaundice, they could give the mother thrush, it could be so the feeds are just not effective, there's not enough milk transfer, so it could affect mum's supply as well because the baby's not stimulating the breast enough. And of course, mum can be in a lot of pain. So baby may actually appear that they're feeding fine and they're gaining weight, but mum can be in a lot of pain. So if there's any of these things going on, there could be a tongue tie. But I do stress this is a video, but I just want to put it out there that, you know, that this could be something as to why breastfeeding is not going well. So if your baby does have a tongue tie, and feeding is being affected, then they would be able to go for something called a frenulotomy, and this is where they literally do just snip the piece of skin underneath the tongue. Now, this is often more upsetting for mummy and daddy because they don't want the babies to be doing that, but actually your baby virtually doesn't feel it at all. There's very little blood loss, if any at all, but your doctor at the time, the consultant, will go through all of this with you if this is happening. You know, again, I am peer support, but I think it's really good for parents to know what a tongue tie is and how it can be overcome. So again, if there are feeding issues and your baby literally will not go on the breast and feed at all, because this can be a problem where your baby cannot latch on, then what I would suggest you doing if you want to breastfeed is to be maintaining and protecting your supply, and this is by exclusive expressing. So please watch my other video on exclusive expressing. Just because your baby has a tongue tie does not mean they can't feed, and if it's a tongue tie that is affecting feeding, this doesn't mean that your breastfeeding journey has to stop, okay? There are many different ways, you know, around this. As I say, you need to be maintaining and protecting your supply. In the meantime, we can be cup feeding baby as opposed to introducing a bottle. Some people do introduce a bottle for that short time until the tie is released. Now, the frenulotomy itself is 95% successful, so it has a very high success rate as well. But sadly, obviously, there is that percentage that it doesn't work for, but I think it's well worth doing if it is causing problems because of that high success rate. So then once we set our supply up and then your baby does have the frenulotomy, then you can start encouraging the breastfeeding again. You know, you always be keeping baby nice and close to you, you know, still keeping them familiar with the breast, loads and loads of skin to skin. And I know many women who, after a certain period of time, their babies have gone back on the breast after having a tongue tie, the frenulotomy, and setting their supply up correctly. Because if your baby, once your baby goes on the breast, they need that milk there for them. So that's why setting your supply up is so, so important. If you are struggling with tongue ties or anything, then please go to your health caregiver or a breastfeeding professional lactation consultant, and they will be able to give you much more in-depth advice about this. Again, this is a video and I'm just giving you an overall look what you could expect from a possible tongue tie. So I wish you the best of luck, everyone. Bye.